Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of English with Emily. I am Emily.
And I am Aaron. Today we are talking about a topic that I am sure is very familiar to many of you. My mind goes blank when I try to speak English.
Oh, this is a big one, Aaron. You know that moment when you are ready to speak English, you have practiced what you are going to say, maybe even practiced in your head, but as soon as you open your mouth, nothing. Your mind just goes empty.
Exactly. It's like your brain decides to go on a vacation just when you need it the most. You know, Emily?
This reminds me of the time I had my first job interview in English. I had prepared so much. I even practiced answers in front of the mirror. But when the interviewer asked me the first question, my mind went completely empty. I just stared at him like I was frozen.
Oh no, Aaron, what did you do?
Well, I panicked for a second, but then I just said without thinking, "I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?" It gave me a little time to collect my thoughts, and I was able to get through it. But man, that was scary.
That is such a common story. I had a similar experience when I first moved to Paris. I was in a bakery and I wanted to order a croissant. Simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it was my turn, I just froze. My mind went completely blank, and I ended up pointing at the food and saying, "One of those, please." The baker gave me the funniest look.
That is funny. It just shows that no matter how prepared you are, sometimes your brain just decides to take a break. But do not worry. Today, we're going to explore why this happens and share some useful tips to help you keep the conversation going, even when your mind seems to stop working.
Absolutely. So if you've ever found yourself in this situation, keep listening because we have some great plans to help you stay cool and confident when speaking English.
All right, let's get into it. First things first, Aaron. Why does our mind go blank when we try to speak a foreign language, especially English?
Well, Emily, it's usually a mix of being nervous and your brain working too hard. When you're trying to speak a language that's not your first language, your brain is doing a lot of work. It's processing grammar, vocabulary, sounds, and all of that at the same time. If you add a little pressure, like speaking in front of someone or trying to impress your boss, your brain can just freeze up. It's like trying to run too many apps on an old computer. Eventually, something is going to crash.
That makes total sense. It's like trying to juggle too many balls at once. Eventually, one or two are going to hit the ground. And let's be honest, the fear of making mistakes does not help either. You're so worried about saying the wrong thing that your brain just says, "You know what? I'm leaving."
Exactly. So let's talk about how to fix this blank mind problem. One great tip is to prepare some helpful phrases ahead of time. Think of them as your safety net. If your mind goes blank, you can use these phrases to keep the conversation going. For example, if you're struggling to find the right words, you could say, "Let me think about that for a moment," or "I'm not sure how to say this, but..." These phrases give you time and keep the conversation moving.
That's such a useful tip. It's like having help when you're stuck. Let's try a quick example. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone asks for your opinion on a project. Instead of panicking, you could say, "That's a great question. Let me take a second to gather my thoughts." This gives you a moment to breathe and think before starting your answer.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Practice speaking in low-stress situations. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll get. Start by talking to yourself in a mirror, describing your day, or even chatting with a pet. For example, you might say, "I'm making breakfast now. I need to fry some eggs and make coffee." These low-stress situations help you get used to speaking without the fear of people judging you.
That's a great way to build confidence. I remember when I first started learning Italian, I would practice by describing everything I was doing. I would say things like, "Now I'm brushing my teeth," or "I'm going to the store to buy some bread." It felt a bit silly at first, but it really helped me get used to making sentences in Italian.
That's a great example, Aaron. And if you want to make it even more fun, try shadowing exercises. This is where you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say as closely as possible. It's like being their shadow. You copy their sound, tone, and speed. Let's say you're watching an episode of your favorite show in English. Pick a character and try to copy everything they say. This not only helps with pronunciation, but also with speaking smoothly.
Oh, I've done that before. I used to shadow characters from TV shows to practice my English accent. I remember trying to copy Joey from Friends, with his famous line, "How you doing?" It was a lot of fun, and it really helped me improve my accent and tone.
That's awesome, Aaron. And speaking of tools, here's another important tip. Focus on the message, not the exact words. Sometimes we get so caught up in trying to find the perfect word that we forget what we're trying to say. Remember, the goal is to share your message. Let's say you forget the word refrigerator. Instead of freezing up, you could say, the thing in the kitchen that keeps food cold. It might not be perfect, but it explains what you mean.
That's a great point. It reminds me of the time I was trying to describe a microwave in Spanish. I couldn't remember the word, so I said, the box that makes food hot quickly. The person I was talking to laughed, but they understood what I meant. It's all about making it work when necessary.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key tip. Learn to breathe and slow down. When your mind goes blank, it's easy to start rushing or getting upset. But slowing down gives you time to think and lowers the pressure. For instance, if you're giving a presentation and lose your place, just pause, take a deep breath, and then continue. Your audience will appreciate that it's clear, and you'll feel more in control.
Yes, speaking slowly can make a huge difference. You're not in a race, so take your time. And here's a fun tip. Use humor to make the situation easier. If you forget a word or make a mistake, laugh it off. For example, if you mix up dessert and dessert, you could say, well, I guess I was craving sand instead of cake. It takes the pressure off and shows that you're confident enough to handle mistakes.
That's such good advice. And honestly, most people will appreciate your effort and will not mind if you make a few mistakes. They might even help you out by suggesting the word you're looking for.
Exactly. And here's something else to remember. Visualize success before you speak. Take a moment to picture yourself confidently having the conversation. Visualization can be a powerful tool to help reduce worry and boost your confidence. Imagine yourself in a meeting speaking clearly and interestingly, and your mind is less likely to freeze up when the time comes.
Visualization is such a powerful technique. It's like practicing in your mind before the actual performance. And speaking of preparation, let's not forget the importance of learning more words. Sometimes our minds go blank simply because we don't have the words we need. The more words you know, the easier it is to express yourself. For instance, if you're learning words related to business, make sure you know different ways to talk about profit, losses, deals, and so on. This way, you won't get stuck searching for the right word in the middle of a conversation.
That's a great point. And one way to build your vocabulary is by reading regularly. It doesn't have to be hard texts. Even reading a short news article or a blog post each day can teach you new words and phrases. Then try to use those new words in sentences throughout the day. For example, if you learn the word negotiation, you might say, I have a negotiation with a client tomorrow, even if you're just practicing by yourself.
Absolutely. And here's another tip related to vocabulary. Group your new words into themes. For example, learn all the words related to cooking one week, like stir, boil, bake, and then practice them by talking about your favorite recipes. The next week, you could focus on words related to travel, like luggage, boarding pass, departure, and use them in sentences about a trip you have taken or plan to take.
Themed vocabulary learning changes everything. It helps you remember words better because they're all related, and you're more likely to use them together in conversation. Plus, it's much more interesting to learn vocabulary in a story than just memorizing random words.
Exactly. And the more words you have ready to use, the less likely your mind will go blank. So, to all our listeners out there, don't worry if your mind goes blank sometimes. It happens to everyone, even native speakers. The important thing is to keep practicing, stay positive, and use the tips we have shared today to keep moving forward.
Yes, remember, speaking a new language is a journey, and every conversation is a step in the right direction. So be kind to yourself and don't be afraid to make mistakes. They're all part of the process.
And with that, we're finishing up today's episode. We hope these tips help you the next time your mind goes blank while speaking English. And we would love to hear from you. What tips or plans have helped you in similar situations?
Yes, share your thoughts with us in the comments or on social media. We're all in this together, and your experiences might just help someone else. Thanks for tuning in to English with Emily. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, you've got this.
Until next time, take care and keep speaking with English with Emily.